What prisoners do when everyone's asleep. Subscribe for more real crime stories. Like, share, and join the discussion below. The first officer to walk the morning count at Clinton Correctional Facility knew something was wrong the moment he stepped into the honor block. It was June 6, 2015. Still dark, still cold, and the prison was settling into the quiet between night and dawn. But inside cell 23, where inmate David Sweat was supposed to be sleeping, the officer saw an image that froze the blood in his veins. The bed was neatly made. Too neatly. Almost staged. He tapped the mattress with his baton, and the entire body collapsed inward. It wasn't a sleeping inmate. It was a decoy made of rolled sweatshirts. Sweat was gone. The officer raced to the next cell, Richard Matt's. Same thing. A carefully shaped dummy tucked under government-issued blankets. Two high-risk prisoners, both convicted of violent crimes, both missing from a maximum security prison known for being practically impossible to escape. Within minutes, a swarm of officers flooded the tier. Flashlights bounced across concrete. Radios crackled with frantic voices. One sergeant leaned inside Matt's cell, scanning every corner until something caught his eye, a hole the size of a basketball cut neatly into the back wall. A hole that led to darkness. A hole that no one was ever supposed to reach. He shouted for backup. Officers followed the opening into a maze of maintenance pipes, tight, metal tunnels that ran beneath the prison like the veins of a mechanical giant. And as they crawled deeper, they discovered the shocking truth. Matt and Sweat hadn't just vanished. They had spent months cutting through steel, crawling through tunnels, and carving a path to freedom, all while everyone else in the prison slept. Then one officer emerged from the tunnel, pale and shaking. He held up something small, a piece of cardboard with sloppy handwriting on it. It said, "Have a nice day." And with that mocking message, the entire prison descended into chaos. Fade out. Years earlier, long before the escape, Richard Matt and David Sweat were just two inmates among thousands inside New York's oldest maximum security facility. Matt was older, smooth-talking, charismatic, a painter who charmed guards and inmates with equal skill. Sweat was younger, quieter, calculating, known for his patience and cold determination. Inside Clinton Correctional Facility, nights were long, predictable, and suffocating. Once the 11 p.m. count passed, the prison fell into a rough quiet. Distant coughs, metal rattles, the echo of footsteps from late-night guards. But inmates had their own rituals. Some whispered through vents. Some played chess with pieces made from soap. Some wrote letters under the faint glow from hallway lights. And some learned things. Things like which guards slept during shifts, which hallways stayed unmonitored, when maintenance workers shut down the generators, how the plumbing tunnels connected one end of the prison to the other. According to later testimony, it began with small favors, requests for paint, scraps of metal, leftover tools. Maintenance access was rare, but Sweat studied every moment he could. Matt used his personality to get what Sweat needed. And as nights passed, the two men formed a secret partnership. The first sign of danger came in the form of noise. Nothing dramatic, just a faint tapping behind the wall. Some inmates ignored it. Some guards blamed the old pipes. But every night, after the final count, Matt and Sweat returned to their hidden routine, cutting steel with smuggled tools, chipping away bit by bit, hiding the evidence in brown paper bags. By the time a few officers finally noticed something odd, an unusual draft in the hallway, small scratches around a vent, Matt and Sweat were nearly through. Then, one night, a guard on duty heard a sound he couldn't explain. A faint clink, like metal hitting metal, from inside the walls. He leaned closer, frowning. And that was the moment the investigation truly began, because the guard wasn't hearing pipes. He was hearing two men carving a path to disappear into the night. Morning sunlight filtered through the thin curtains, drawing soft stripes across the small bedroom. Sean lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying the previous night in his mind. Nanny's wheezing, her trembling hands, the way she tried to hide her pain as if protecting him from the truth. Everything echoed like a haunting reminder that time was no longer on their side. He turned his head to the right. Nanny was asleep on her side of the bed, breathing lightly now, her face calm, peaceful. You would never know what she had struggled through only hours ago. He needed answers. Quietly, Sean slid out of bed, careful not to wake her. He padded into the hallway, opening the old wooden cabinet where they kept important papers. He searched through folders, bills, prescriptions, appointment reminders, until he found the hospital envelope. His chest tightened. Severe degenerative heart condition, high risk, urgent follow-ups recommended. There were dates circled in red. Appointments Nanny had canceled. "Why didn't you tell me, Nanny?" he whispered under his breath, feeling frustration mixed with fear. A soft voice emerged behind him. "Because you worry too much." Sean turned around sharply. Nanny stood there wearing her faded floral housecoat, leaning against the wall for balance. Though her smile was warm, her eyes looked tired, too tired. "You shouldn't be up," Sean said, stepping forward to support her. "I'm fine, sweetheart." But her body trembled slightly as she walked to a chair and sat. Sean knelt in front of her. "I saw the papers. You can't hide this from me. We have to go back to the doctor. Today." Nanny looked away, her lips tightening. "Doctors don't fix everything. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life sitting in cold waiting rooms while people talk over my head." "But you're getting worse," Sean insisted, voice cracking. Nanny placed her hand over his. "That's why I need you to be strong. Stronger than me." Sean swallowed hard. That wasn't what he wanted to hear. Not now, not ever. But before he could speak, someone knocked on the door. A sharp, unexpected knock that made both of them jump. Nanny's eyes widened with a flicker of worry. "Early for visitors," she whispered. Sean stood, tense. "I'll get it." He moved toward the door, every step filling him with a strange, heavy feeling. When he opened it, he froze. Someone from Nanny's past, someone she never thought she'd see again, stood on the doorstep. And the quiet life they had been holding on to was about to change forever. The figure standing in the doorway was a tall man with silver streaks in his beard and tired eyes that carried years of unspoken regret. Sean didn't recognize him, but Nanny did. Her breath caught. "Samuel?" she whispered from across the room, voice trembling. Samuel stepped inside slowly. "It's been a long time, Mary." Sean turned to Nanny in confusion. "Mary? I thought your name was." "It is," Nanny said gently. "But Samuel knew me long before you were born." Samuel removed his hat, holding it against his chest. "I heard she was sick," he said quietly to Sean. "And I couldn't stay away. Not again." Nanny's eyes softened, but the weight of old wounds hung in the air. "You left," she said simply. Samuel lowered his gaze. "I know, and I've carried that guilt every day. But I want to make things right while there's still time." Sean looked between them, unsure what to feel. "Who are you to her?" Samuel hesitated, then answered with a fragile honesty. "I'm her brother." The room fell still. Sean felt his chest loosen as a puzzle he never knew existed began to connect. A family Nanny never talked about. A past she kept tucked away, out of protection or maybe pain. Samuel stepped closer to her. "I should have been here. I should have helped." A single tear traced down Nanny's cheek. "You were young, scared. We both were." Sean gently supported her as Samuel pulled up a chair. For the next hour, the apartment filled with stories, childhood memories, laughter, regrets, old photos Samuel carried in his coat pocket. Nanny's smile grew brighter than Sean had seen in years. It was as if a missing piece of her spirit had quietly returned. But the moment couldn't last forever. As the afternoon sun dipped low, Nanny's breathing grew heavier. Her hand trembled in Sean's. "Call the doctor," Sean said quickly. Nanny shook her head softly. "No, sweetheart. Stay with me, both of you." Samuel took her left hand. Sean held her right. She looked at them with the gentlest smile, tired, but full of love. "You've given me more joy than I ever deserved," she whispered. "Promise me you two won't drift apart. Family, don't waste it." Tears blurred Sean's vision. "I promise, Nanny. I promise." Samuel nodded silently, gripping her hand tighter. Nanny exhaled slowly, peacefully. And then another breath did not come. The room fell quiet, heavy, sacred. Sean pressed his forehead against her hand. Samuel bowed his head, crying softly into his palms. For a long moment, the world held still. Then Sean whispered, "Rest now, Nanny. I've got the rest." Weeks later, Sean and Samuel stood together at her favorite park, the one she always spoke about but hadn't visited in years. They scattered her ashes over the garden she used to describe in stories. Birds chirped overhead. A light breeze lifted the petals of newly blooming flowers. "She would have liked this," Samuel murmured. Sean nodded. "She would have loved that you came back." Samuel placed a gentle hand on Sean's shoulder. "She left us both a gift. She brought us together." Sean inhaled deeply, feeling Nanny's presence in the sunlight warming his face. "She always knew how to fix things," he said with a small smile. "Even hearts." As they walked away from the garden, Sean felt something new. Not the weight of loss, but the strength of the promise he made. And in that quiet moment he understood. Love doesn't end. It simply changes form and continues forward.